All right, good afternoon, everyone. We'll get going here with our regular meeting of Township Council. We'll call that to order for Monday, July 27th. And of course, I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional territories of the Coast Salish peoples, and in particular, our valued relationships with the Katzie, Kwantlen, Matsqui, and Swemiamu First Nations. Can I get a motion to just adopt A1 and A2 as a single motion? I'll move that, seconded by Councillor Rint. Is there any discussion on A1 and A2? Seeing none, call the question. And that carries unanimously. Can I get a motion to adopt the meeting minutes of July 13th, moved by Councillor Ferguson, seconded by Councillor Rint. Call the question on B1. Need Councillor Richter to vote. Yep. Ms. Bauer, can you double check what happened there? Want me to call it again, or do you have it? There we go, carried unanimously. Get a motion to adopt the public hearing meeting minutes of July 13th, moved by Councillor Pratt, seconded by Councillor Bailey. Any discussion on those? Call the question on B2. That carries unanimously. We'll start with our first delegation from Angel Elias. Yeah, please come forward. Thanks. Thanks again for coming here today. You have 5 minutes. Please go ahead.
I do have a presentation. Is there a clicker for the presentation or anything else like that? Right here? Okay. Perfect. So just manually do it? Easy arrows. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Angel Elias, and I'm the Executive Director of the Langley Division of Family Practice. And with me today, I have my Director of Finance, Mr. Cole Bailey. I'd like to give you a brief overview of who we are, the work we're doing to improve access to primary care in Langley, and how we believe partnering with the township is essential as our community continues to grow. Who we are. So the Langley Division of Family Practice is a physician-led nonprofit organization representing family physicians throughout Langley. Our role is to bring physicians together to address common healthcare priorities while working collaboratively with Fraser Health, the Ministry of Health, community organizations, and municipal partners. Ultimately, our goal is to improve inpatient care, strengthen primary care services, and ensure physicians have meaningful voice in healthcare planning and decision-making. So today, our network includes more than 200 community care providers working across 45 primary care clinics. We also work closely with 17 nurse practitioners, more than 80 medical office assistants in the primary care network, which is our PCN allied health team. One of the division's greatest strengths is our ability to connect these providers by creating opportunities for collaboration, education, and shared problem solving. We're helping build a stronger and more coordinated health system for our community. All right, let's get into some data. So this is our current attachment demand, and one of the biggest healthcare challenges we face is ensuring that every resident has access to a family physician. Although thousands of residents are attached, demand continues to grow as our population increases. And so the data on this slide highlights the current attachment success we've had in Langley to date. I know it's a busy slide, and I only got 5 minutes, so I won't go into it, but I'm happy to connect with anybody for more details. So future population growth. So looking ahead, Langley, as you all are aware, are one of the fastest growing communities in British Columbia. And so population growth means increased demand for physicians, clinics, allied health professionals, and community health services. So without proactive planning today, the gap between healthcare capacity and community need will continue to widen. This makes recruitment, retention, and infrastructure planning more important than ever. So recruiting family physicians isn't simply about finding doctors. It's also about ensuring they have places to practice. And so this slide illustrates the physicians we've recruited and where they are currently practicing throughout Langley. And so the pink bubbles are current clinics, and the blue bubbles are where new clinics need to be developed. And so our division works closely with new physicians, residents, and community partners to help connect physicians with practices and supports and support them as they establish themselves in the community. So however, recruitment alone isn't enough. We also need clinic space, sustainable practice models, and supportive municipal planning to ensure these physicians can continue serving Langley residents. So by the data shown here, we need a total of 69 new physicians to support the township's primary care needs by 2041. So 31 physicians will be needed to meet the demand from growth, and 38 new physicians need to cover retiring physicians in the community. We're pleased to say that right now we have currently 33 new family physicians accepting patients across 13 clinics in Langley and Aldergrove. However, the ministry's data estimates that we have approximately 20,000 residents who still remain unattached to a primary care provider. And so since creating this slide, we've attached even more, making our list go from 2,400 down to 900 people currently waiting to be attached to a provider in Langley. This highlights the importance of encouraging residents who need a family physician to register through the Health Connect registry. The more accurate our registered numbers are, the better we can plan future physician recruitment and connect patients with available providers. So how can the township support primary care? So as Langley continues to grow, healthcare planning needs to grow alongside it. We see several opportunities where township can make a significant impact. So considering healthcare needs during community growth and development planning, streamlining zoning, permitting, and developing processes for medical clinics, include dedicated medical hubs or healthcare spaces within future OCPs, continue to partner with the division to strategically recruit physicians and expand access to primary care. Strong partnerships between municipalities and healthcare organizations will help ensure residents continue receiving the healthcare that they need close to home. I want to thank you for your time today. We appreciate the opportunity to share the work of the Langley Division of Family Practice, and I'm happy to take any questions that you may have.
Yeah, thanks very much for the presentation. Really appreciate it. I was wondering if we could go back to the slide briefly where you were showing the bubbles representing where we would have future anticipated demand. Some of them are in areas that make complete sense. Willoughby, obviously, right in the kind of commercial areas, Walnut Grove, Murrayville, glad to see as well, Brookswood. I'm curious, Fort Langley, and then there's a kind of blue bubble there on what would be, I'm assuming, 232nd east of Murrayville there, one up in Walnut Grove, kind of outside of a commercial area. So I'm wondering just the methodology that went into sort of selecting the areas, or if it's more generally speaking, in this neighborhood, we anticipate needing more.
So it's a general guesstimation on the methodology in regards to this based on growth and based on population of growth and where that population is going to be. And so it's really not perfect science, absolutely. And so we just kind of looked at where the hot spots of Langley and the growth is based on the projection of the data that we were able to collect. And then just kind of looked at, well, you're going to need to have physicians to cover that growth in those areas, right, and new physicians, because a lot of the current clinics, yes, we have 33 new doctors taking on physicians, but once their patient panels are full, And so as that growth comes in, you need to be able to meet that demand as well. But it's not perfect science, so you have to be able to pivot and change. So if another area of Langley is growing faster, then okay, then as you're looking at those approvals for those developments, where's the physicians, doctors' offices, and where's those medical hubs going to go?
Right. Awesome. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I just want to say I think it's a brilliant idea to have medical hubs in our like in our neighborhood plans and our OCP. It makes perfect sense to me. We should have done it a long time ago, and thank you for putting it back on the radar. Question for you. The physicians that are retiring, are they selling their practices or just shutting the doors and leaving?
No, that's not the way that it usually works. So when a physician retires, if you have several different physicians that are actually in a clinic together, and when a physician chooses to retire, we start working with them well ahead of the game to make sure that we recruit to be able to have their patient panel transfer over to a new physician. The reality is, though, is the older physicians that have been here for 30, 40 years have patient panels of over 3,000 patients, and that's no longer today. So those physicians, you need to recruit, 2 to 3 more physicians to cover that. The great thing about Langley is very attractive for physicians. So we've been very successful with our recruitment, but it's space. We don't have the space to be able to put all the physicians that want to come to Langley and join Langley. It's kind of a good problem to have, but it's kind of not, because if we can't give them viable space, as well as people registering in the HCR system for them to be able to have their patient panel, then they will go into other communities, which isn't a bad thing. All communities need physicians, but we want to make sure that Langley has what they need as
Yeah.
well.
No, that's excellent. It's a
And
great
it's
idea.
important to note that most municipalities now are also starting to look at that health hub ideal as well in their OCP planning.
Yep. Well, I'm glad to hear it. I'm certainly 100% behind that idea. So thank you for coming today and raising it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I got a couple questions. So we talk about clinics, and then we also talk about maybe private practice, right? So would this be specifically clinics, or, because what I'm thinking is that some of the clinics that I know have doctors who will take patients, but they don't actually have their own, space, like you said.
Yeah, so all clinics, there's 45 clinics in Langley, and they're actually all private practices. And so
Okay.
you'll have one medical director that opens up in the actual space, and then we'll recruit physicians to join that clinic with them. And of course, those physicians that join that clinic have their own patient panel, and they are free to, if it doesn't work out at that clinic, to join another clinic. But all clinics are private practice.
Okay, so we're not talking about like the family doctor with his own space. We're talking about the bigger
All
clinic.
45 clinics are private family, are their family doctors.
Okay.
So even if you have a walk-in clinic, that we have a couple of physicians that are doing walk-ins, those are still all private practices.
Okay, awesome. The other question I had was 33, you said the number 33. Is that a good number, or are we like still needing way more? And what are other communities seeing? Are they seeing the same?
So Langley's actually in a really, really strong position right now. With our recruitment over the last year and a half has been extremely strong. We've recruited quite a few new physicians from the UK as well as the US, because they've made it a little bit easier for international physicians to join Canada, BC specifically. So Langley's been very attractive because we have a lot to offer, because we do have our hospital, and we do have specialists, and we do have maternity. Also, we have our long-term care. Family physicians are part of all those networks as well and provide those services, and that's attractive, where some communities may not have as many networks, as well as various different things. Some physicians come out here because they love Langley and everything that Langley has to offer, and so it's attractive to move to Langley. Good schools, and you can have a little bit of everything, right? So it's a little bit of we've done really good with recruiting. Now we need to get everybody in Langley to register onto the HCR system so that we can match them with a doctor. And that's been that is our pain point right now. Okay. So we are actively out in the community trying to get people to register. And then the people that move into Langley, they've had their doctor, say if they're moving in from Burnaby, they have their doctor and they're still traveling to Burnaby. So it's now trying to say, you don't have to no longer travel to Burnaby, we can support you here.
Okay, one last question. I read recently that 1 out of every 10 emergency room doctors are just calling it quits because they just can't deal with all of the pressure of the emergency room. Will this help? Would this help the emergency room? Because it just feels like some people don't have a doctor and they head over to the emergency room.
Yeah, so emergency physicians are managed and recruited by Fraser Health. And so our, what's unique to Langley, and the only other community that has this program is Chilliwack, is we have our inpatient program. So we have 30 family physicians that actually will see their patients into the hospital. They work with the ER as well as the hospitalist. And so say if you get admitted into the ER and the ER knows that you have a family doctor, that family doctor is going to get called and will come and care for you while you're in the hospital. However, that's not recruitment for the ER. Fraser Health has to take care of that. But we do work in partnership with Fraser Health Partners. And we also promote to physicians as well when we're recruiting all the opportunities. So that doesn't just include ER, but also includes the UPCC.
Okay, I've got more questions, but I'll just leave it to the rest of my council colleagues. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Lees. Angel, thank you for coming today. We've had you, or some of your team, I remember Barb Stack coming forward to our seniors committee and other committees over the years talking about what you're doing with the Division of Family Practices. I did want to say that used to hand out those business cards, and we've handed quite a few of those out, both from our committees and also from my son-in-law. He's got a PhD in medical administration. I've handed them out to him as well. And he said the response has been very good because Langley being a livable community with schools and other resources. So it's just the hospital itself, as you're aware, we need expansion there.
Yes.
How does your group help out with that particular challenge?
So it's not that we can necessarily help Fraser Health with their challenge for recruitment, but what we do is work with them to be able to work with our Ministry of Health in regards to the needs. And as physicians, they always say to the Ministry of Health, we need to support, we need more hospitalists and we need ERs, physicians as well. But that is really the umbrella of your Fraser Health partners. We are in close contact with Fraser Health. We meet with them on a regular basis with the executive. I meet personally with the executive director. We have our PCN Allied Health team that also supports Fraser Health, whether it be at UPCC or bringing in our pharmacists to try to do, when you leave the hospital, to make sure that you have your proper medication. But yes, recruitment for Fraser Health is definitely a challenge. But again, we make sure that any physician that's coming in, we give them the options to work at UPCC, work at the ER. We even did a recruitment video in partnership with Fraser Health to be able to highlight everything that Langley has to offer, and as well as the division. The division also, what's unique to Langley is the division is starting to support our hospitalists and our ER physicians. We're doing an actual hospitalist and ER physician support event in November, which most divisions don't necessarily do something like that, but we're doing that to try to help create that balance, that work-life balance and that healthy balance. And they don't necessarily get that type of support from the health authority because they don't have the means to be able to do that, but we do. So we're definitely supporting those physicians as well, which will make it more attractive for new physicians knowing that, they're not just placed there and on their own. But Fraser Health needs to come to the table as well, absolutely, and needs to, but I'm going to say Langley's, as I know that there's struggles, but Langley is doing much better than other communities. The ER has not been closed. So other communities, the ER has been closed on a regular basis.
We really appreciate what you're doing. I mean, the last thing with some of the committees I'm at, some of the people that say they have got doctors now. And the list, I'm not sure if it's expanding or you able to do something, but the response has been very positive.
Yes, we're happy to provide a list of physicians that are accepting. I believe it's all on our website as well. So, yes, we can, if you connect with us and you need a family physician, we'll get you connected with a family physician within a day.
Thank you very much. We appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
Yes, I see you're including nurse practitioners in there.
Yeah.
Thank you. They're a segment that is often overlooked. That number of 17, how does that look compared to where you would like that number to look?
Well, we would like that number to go up. Langley was the first community to actually accept nurse practitioners into the community. We actually even have one on our board of directors, and we were the first out of all of the communities. And so we kind of, opened up the the doors in regards to that. Our problem is our nurse practitioners are based under our PCN contracts, which the ministry holds. And so Langley's, we've met all that we can do in regards to nurse practitioners being in clinic for primary care, which is very frustrating on our behalf. However, we still have opportunity for our nurse practitioners to join our UPCC as well as the hospital. And so we will still support those nurse practitioners, whether they're in Fraser Health contract or one of our PCN contracts. And we support them through educational opportunities. We do quarterly meetings, I believe, with the nurse practitioners. We just had one where we actually to talk with them about their pain points and how can we support them through that. And I would love to have more in our clinics, but unfortunately the ministry has said that Langley isn't eligible for any more because of our low attachment numbers.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for being here today and appreciate your presentation. Couple questions for you, just for my interest's sake. You mentioned that historically the family doctors have had about 3,000 patient panels, I think you called it?
The older physicians
Yeah.
that have been here for 40 plus years, yes, they have quite large patient panels.
What would be a reasonable patient panel in today's?
So today, the average physician has about 1,200 patients per panel. Sometimes it depends how complex their patient panel is, and you got to also understand the more complex their patient panel is, the more needs that they need to give those patients. And so, but 1,200 is the average. Some will go up to 15, some will go up to 17 because physicians don't like to say no. So yeah, it's
Okay.
definitely varied, that's for sure.
Yeah. And then out of curiosity, the HealthLink,
Yes.
the ability to sign up for this, how long has this been in place?
So, that's a good question. So the Ministry of Health started this, I believe it was 2 years ago, Cole. So 2 years ago, they changed their metrics in regards to attachment, and one of their main mandates was attachment to physicians. So they created the HCR, we call it HCR for the acronyms, and they encouraged everybody to register through there, and then we get that list. And then as physicians are asking for more patient panels, we provide them the list based on matching them to a physician that matches their needs, and then that physician will attach that patient. So without the patients in that HCR, we can't attach. And so please, if you don't have a family physician, please register. And it's very easy for anybody that is not computer savvy. We will, you can come into our office and we will actually walk everybody through it, and we will register them for you. We also have kiosks at the UPCC as well as the emergency for those unattached patients to fill out that information, and so that we can get them attached to a family physician.
Yeah, that's great. You know, I remember in the days gone by, my previous doctor retired, and
You're on your own.
I'm phoning around, you know, trying to find
Yeah.
somebody who might have space, putting my name on lists and that sort of thing. And this is so efficient, and
Yeah.
in this day and age, it just makes sense. And I'm really glad to hear that this is in place, and I'll make sure to spread the word as well to people I know in my generation of doing things the old way. So really glad to have you here today. And yes, I agree with what I heard earlier from one of my other colleagues, is that the importance of including this in our planning. We absolutely need to consider health. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you
Take
for
care,
the
everybody.
Presentation as well.
Thank you.
Next delegation is Amanda Smith and John Caldarella.
Just hit the X. We know. If you just click it on the bottom, it should be open already. Oh, okay, there you go. Just the full screen on the top left there. Did you want full screen as well? Yeah, my school full screen. Do you mind if I use it? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you, everybody, for having us approach you guys to discuss the state of farming in Langley. On June 1st, I believe everybody would have received an 8-page document in your inboxes. We actually shared that document with anybody who wanted it because we were quite proud of the work that we have done. And that document is not slated in terms of one way. It is literally a snapshot of all of the issues that we've had and collected in the last 4 years. So we just want to go to the next slide. Right, so BC Farmers Markets Institutes, what are they? Their institutes strive to serve the needs of the local agricultural community and meet monthly to identify and address issues of interest and concern to local farms, farmers, and agricultural stakeholders. Members also sit on committees in the wider community, advocating for farmers' interests at the community, municipal, provincial, and federal levels. And that excerpt was taken from the Farmers and Women's Institute Regulation Act. So these are all of the people that we've spoken to. And that 4 years was a lot of communication between primarily farmers, and then also with staff within the Ministry of Agriculture, staff within the ALC, staff within Metro Vancouver, members of the Agricultural Advisory Committee, staff within the Township of Langley, staff at the Township of Langley bylaws, Langley Advanced Times, Country Life, and at this point, we're now brought to talking with the BC SPCA. But now we have this slide that we wanted to share with you because when we did all that talking, it's a lot of homework actually. Like we've had to read so many bylaws and meeting with government staff, it's quite amazing. But our last meeting was really with the ALC, and they wanted me to show you guys all of the applications received by type and administrative region. So you'll see in the South Coast region, we actually have the highest amount of applications going to the ALC. The reason for that is the Township of Langley has a standing order that all applications get just farmed to the ALC and is not vetted at the local level. All of the other regions, they actually vet at the local level. So for example, there was an application for non-farm use that was brought to the ALC in February. They're just getting to it now because of the extra workload that we're adding to them. And the ALC actually lost more staff, so that means all applications are going to take longer. And the ALC actually admitted that if an application that has nothing to do with farming, it gets to the bottom of the pile. So this application specifically about non-farm use, they're just getting to it now, and it was submitted in February. So everything is taking more time, and that's one of the reasons that we're here today to share this with you, because there's only 3 communities in the entire province that has that long-standing order that everything gets farmed off to the ALC, and ours came into play with the previous CEO. And that came in when we became a regulated community. So really the state of farming is really delicate right now, just with some of the policies that we've had over the last 33 years and that long-standing order when we became a regulated community. So that should be a bit concerning with the amount of applications. So we have to share that with you. And it's going to be actually added to our state of farming document because a lot of this ALC stuff is kind of worked in that 8-page document, and we'll go to the next slide. So really at the end of the day, I know that nothing can happen right now, but we want long-standing order thrown out because all of the other regions within the Fraser Valley, their agricultural advisory committee actually does vetting of applications. And you have a very passionate group of people who feel that they don't have a lot to do at the Agricultural Advisory Committee. That would be something that they would love to do. And it doesn't always have to sit at the AAC. If the AAC members feel that they can't make a decision, then it does go to the ALC. So that's kind of what we're asking for today, that it just be considered. And in the next few months, as we kind of move forward towards a potential rural plan, we can revisit this. We wanted to share it with you. I think that might be it. Yes.
Questions?
Yes, thank you, Amanda, very much, and John for coming and for your report, very thorough as usual. You mentioned that there's only 3 communities in BC that have this long-standing order. What three, and are those regulated communities like Langley Township, unfortunately? Is?
No. So the ALC couldn't share with me due to privacy the other two communities,
Okay,
but it's not connected because we have 4 regulated communities in BC. So they have nothing to do with each other. The regulated community came through the Ministry of Ag and has nothing to do with the ALC. But the ALC is being punished over the last 2 decades with extra work because of that standing order that the previous CEO put in place.
okay. But I guess where I was going is I always thought we referred to ALC because we were a regulated
No,
community.
They don't have anything to do with each other.
We don't have to do that. Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. The other thing on your delegation form, you mentioned that the desired resolution you want to see is confirmed rural plan terms of reference, commitment with bylaws, and soils dumping fines. Can you give us a bit more background on those items?
Well, I mean, talking to the soils educator, he was also very concerned about where bylaws was going with this, because, again, reading the document, like, we are there to support farmers, but we also see on ALR land dumping, and there's been, in some cases, no recourse. And the previous soils person from Richmond, well, actually, the guy in Richmond, he actually is collecting a lot of money in terms of fines, and we don't really know why that can't be the case here in the township with all the illegal dumping.
Okay, and by that you mean soil deposits?
Yeah.
That shouldn't be happening. Yeah. And that's a responsibility that the township needs to fulfill? Okay. And then the rural plan terms of reference, I think the rural plan is,
I don't quite know where that term of reference is at yet, to be
Okay.
honest. Our last agricultural advisory committee meeting, we didn't talk about it, so I'm assuming it's still sitting in staff.
yeah. Well, I think these are good points that you've raised here today and certainly reflect a lot of research, so thank you.
And this is a very awkward stuff to talk about, to bring to the council table. It's kind of, like, when you start to find out all this information, it's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so read the eight page, it's gonna be a working document, and we'll just keep adding to it, and the whole ALC stuff will be included.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming to, our council today and delegating. You mentioned other communities that are not regulated, don't throw everything to the ALC. So do those communities have like their agricultural committees vetting some of those?
Yes.
They do, all of those, they do. And what would be the criteria for those committee members to be making decisions like that on behalf? And do they only make decisions on non-farm use, or do they make decisions on all?
Non-farm use.
Oh, only on non-farm use? Okay, because that's probably a big, good distinction, because I would think then that would take care of a lot of the stuff that the ALC is seeing right now from Langley, would you say? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like, no applicant should need to wait 6 months.
Yeah, no, right. Okay, thanks for that.
Yes, I look at the South Coast region and see the non-adhering residential use applications are right at the top of the list. Do you know what the makeup of those are?
No.
Are a lot of those like families trying to have another like subdivide a little bit to have another
Yes.
family member on it because of the cost of land down here? And I see it's also kind of high in the Okanagan. I would suspect that might be true there also. Okay, so, that's an interesting thing, because I live in that kind of situation, and it would be, I know how many people comment on, they would like to have that similar situation, so that their family can be close, and also so the young people can afford to have a piece of land.
Yeah, when we wrote the state of farming, we had mentioned subdividing. The only comment we had is because we have a low water table in some areas already, the more we subdivide and we have to dig more wells and having a septic, it kind of is a bit challenging. So we also said in the document that we wanted more of a review from the Ministry of Environment about our water table because we think that there's more vulnerable aquifers than what's stated.
Yeah, because we recently had that study done by the provincial government saying that at best our aquifers are holding at the current levels, and some of them are declining, and the only ones that aren't declining and are recovering are where we've put pipe water in. Okay, thanks.
I just had one question. If you could, I mean, on the slide, it's pretty simple. Throw out the long-standing order, non-farm use applications to be directed to. What are you referring to, long-standing order?
That's just what they're called. And that's from the ALC. That's what our local person was telling us, is that it is a longstanding order that comes from the municipality. They make that up. It has nothing to do with the ALC. That standing order just gives them more work.
But you're saying the township has one of these?
Mm-hmm.
But yet all non-farm use applications come to council for approval. So where is the long-standing order that everything be directed directly to the
I don't
ALC?
have it in writing. It's coming from the ALC.
Well, this is the first I've heard the township has this, so.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming here today, I appreciate it very much.
Thanks.
Thank you. Next delegation is Janet Ingram Johnson, please come forward.
I'm going to need some technical help with these. Thank you. I need to get it up, but not just have it on the screen, but not play. Okay, I want to be able to, then I can press play.
Is yours the video or the presentation?
Yeah, the video, the traffic.
Okay, and then play is just in the bottom left here.
What do I do?
It'll just be the left click here when you're ready to play it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so thank you for coming here today, and please go ahead.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you for hearing my request for traffic controls and a crosswalk at the intersection of 256th Street and the Fraser Highway. This intersection is the only uncontrolled crossroads on the Fraser Highway between Aldergrove and the Langley bypass. There are controlled lights and crosswalks at 260th Street, 248th Street, 244th Street, 240th Street, 232nd Street, 48th Avenue, 222nd Street, and 216th Street, but none at this unsafe intersection. It is unsafe for pedestrians. It's unsafe for cyclists. It's unsafe for motorists. It's unsafe for vehicles of all sizes, especially for the school bus that has to cross the highway twice each school day. 256th Street is a designated school bus route. Surveys will often point to below optimal traffic levels before guidelines call for controls. But it doesn't take rocket science to realize people avoid nasty intersections and find safer routes. A Township of Langley Commission study of the 16th Avenue corridor is calling for traffic controls at 16th Avenue and 256th Street because of safety concerns, despite the numerical threshold not being met. And 16th Avenue isn't even a bus route. The Fraser Highway is. There are bus stops near 256th Street for eastward and westward travel, but riders face such a daunting task of crossing the highway, often during peak rush hours, that one person coming home from Langley stays on the bus all the way to 264th Street, crosses 264th at controlled walks, and then waits for the bus coming back to 256th Street. How ridiculous is that? When I cycle from my home just off 256th Street, I have to ride over to 248th Street just to get across the highway. This intersection has seen many accidents and many more near misses over the years. There was a nasty accident there only last Wednesday, when a vehicle wound up in a ditch. There is now also a large farm stand at the northwest corner of the junction, with multiple access points adding to congestion. I'd now like to show you a short video. The videographer was only able to film from the southeast corner of the intersection because he found it too dangerous to cross the road on foot. supposed to start. There we go. It's gone forward for some reason. Need to start at the beginning. Okay, thank you. So you'll see the traffic, relentless traffic. Now there's a car arriving from the north on 256th Street, and you won't believe your eyes. Turns into the uphill oncoming left turn lane. How dangerous is that? So as Langley's traffic increases, day by day, why is this one very dangerous intersection still not having traffic lights? I don't understand. Presenting a petition. I haven't seen how much time I've got left. I'm presenting a petition that's signed by those who live in or frequent the area and are tired of finding elaborate ways around this major headache. With the petition are some quotes from area residents, including from the Valley Equestrian Therapeutic Association, which sits very close to the highway and is used by many young families. Finally, I would beseech Council to kickstart the process for making the intersection of 256th Street and the Fraser Highway safer. Please do something. Thank you.
All right, thank you for coming here today. Certainly agree. Councilor Ferguson, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do actually have a motion after everyone's spoken.
We'll come back to you. Do you have any questions for the delegate?
Yes, I do. And Janet, thank you for coming. I know that you are a longstanding community supporter. I see you've got your Rotary. You believe there is good in the world. Thank you for coming. I'm a Rotarian as well. And you've been a long-term volunteer. And you were, I can tell by this delegation, you're a former reporter from what I remember as well.
I'm a journalist, yes. Was.
Do you live in the immediate area?
Yes, I live 2 blocks north of the Fraser Highway, just off 5256.
And I think you've seen that. I know some of the farmers up in that area, and it has been a challenge. So I will be asking the mayor for a motion later on. Thank you very much,
Councillor Ferguson.
Yeah, I have to agree with that intersection being a concern. I've been caught at that one a few times, trying to get across, and when I saw the fella turn into the left-hand turn line, it looks an awful lot like what's going on at 16th Avenue also.
Yeah.
So, yes, I'm looking forward to what Councillor Ferguson is going to bring forward.
Thank you. Yes, I think if the council is very willing to spend money on 256 and 16th Avenue, that 256 and the Fraser Highway should be an even greater priority.
Oh,
Hi, Janet. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation, and I really appreciate you taking the time to provide a video. That's the best way to present the case on what's actually happening there, and I concur with the thoughts I've already heard here. I don't have any questions for you, other than I look forward to hearing the motion. I think that you've presented a good case for change to be made at that intersection. So thank you for your time.
Thank you all for hearing me. Thank you very much.
Okay, next delegation is Jamie, we'll do them at the end. Councilor Ferguson, do them all the time. Jamie Lynn Dixon, please come forward. Thank you for coming here today. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mayor and members of Council. My name is Jamie Dixon, and I am standing before you today to advocate for urgent safety improvements at the intersection of Fraser Highway and 264. As you guys know, my son tragically died as a result of a motor vehicle accident in 2024. He was crossing Fraser Highway in the marked crosswalk on the west side of the intersection, traveling southbound, when he was struck. This intersection is inherently dangerous. The sharp, nearly 90-degree turn creates significant challenges, particularly for large trucks, which sometimes mount or cross over the curb. while completing the turn. In addition, the overgrown bushes at the northwest corner has created a serious blind spot for drivers navigating the intersection. Many pedestrians are aware of this danger and do stand back near the pole to reduce the risk of being struck. These hazards are compounded by accessibility features for people who are visually impaired, which has been identified by the Provincial Ministry of Transportation and Transit, that are poorly maintained and only partially functioning since at least the day of the accident. We were there on Wednesday and it still wasn't working. Nothing can bring my son back. However, meaningful action can help prevent another family from experiencing the devastating loss and trauma that our family has endured. I would respectfully ask the township to take the following immediate steps to improve safety at this intersection. Remove the overgrown bushes at the northwest corner of Fraser Highway and 264th Street to eliminate that blind spot. Repair and properly maintain all accessibility features for people who are visually impaired. Install flexible delineators and raise the sidewalk at the northwest corner to better separate pedestrians from turning vehicles and making the intersection safer and more pedestrian friendly. I understand that this intersection is located on a provincial roadway. Nevertheless, I urge the township to work directly and urgently with the Provincial Ministry of Transportation and Transit to implement these improvements and address the broader safety concerns at this location. I urge each of the council members to please come to the intersection and see firsthand the dangers that are surrounding the area. No family should have to endure what ours have endured. I respectfully ask council to treat this matter with the urgency it deserves and to take meaningful action before another life is lost. Thank you for your time and your attention and your commitment to public safety.
All right, so there's no questions of council. I've made notes of your requests and I'll follow up with staff on those and very much appreciate the submission. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next delegation is C5, David Lapierre. Please come forward. All right, please go ahead. Thank you.
Mine is a request that I have back in September 2022. We were looking for a house and we found a house and they had a rental unit. So we went to the Township of Langley and asked them what we can do about it because we're in our 70s and we don't really want to deal with tenants anymore because we have for quite a long time. And they told us to get an affidavit and we did that, and they would send an inspector and they did that, and everything was hunky-dory. We didn't have to pay the extra utility fees or anything like that. 2.5 years later, things changed. The Township of Langley now wants to charge us starting 2027. 30% on our utilities, $145 a year, adds up to about $700, and we get nothing for it. All we do is follow all the rules. We have small garbage cans. We water very, very strictly. And why would we want to pay $700 for nothing? We're not going to rent it. How is that fair? I just don't get it. And neither does any of my friends. Resolution, don't charge me. Period. What's that? Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Lapierre, for coming and speaking to council. So if I understand this correctly, you bought a new house in 2022 that had a suite in the basement. You decommissioned that suite, you've never rented it out, you've sent in an affidavit saying you'll never rent it out.
I wouldn't purchase it off the owner until he got dealt with the renter.
Okay, but you use that area downstairs as a personal den.
Yeah.
It's not a suite.
Yeah, it's where I watch sports.
Yeah, I'm missing the logic here of why, if you don't have a suite, why would you have to pay extra utility fees?
It makes absolutely no sense to me. Really does.
Well, I think this matter needs to be referred to staff to follow up on. And when we're having delegations under our procedure bylaw, that's all we can do is put a motion to refer to staff. And I'm going to put that motion forward today relative to your delegation.
I hope it gets cleared up because I'm gonna be here in November if it isn't. I'm not gonna give up on this,
Yeah.
okay? To
Well, you
me,
don't have a suite.
I don't have a suite, and I never will. And I'm getting too old to have one. But anyhow, thank you for your time. I'm glad you heard me. See what happens. Thanks.
No, just have a few more questions.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
let's up here and come back. Yeah, so I just wanted to clarify that. Councilor Richter stated that your suite was decommissioned, but that's not the case. You just don't rent it.
Don't rent it yet.
That's correct, yeah, so it's good to clarify.
Took out the fire doors and stuff like
So it's
that.
not decommissioned, you just don't rent it. That's correct. Just want to clarify that statement. Councilor Bailey, go ahead.
That's along the lines of what I was going to ask, because I had to go through that ordeal at a house I had in Surrey. Do you have, and the two questions are fridge and stove, do you have a fridge and stove in that suite?
Yeah, I mean, it could be a suite.
Yeah, because I solved that by getting rid of the fridge and getting rid of the stove,
Yeah.
and then the requirement is gone, and that's how I got rid of them.
That was my point exactly. I'm buying a house, it has a fridge, it has a stove, it has cupboards. Do I have to rip it out? I wouldn't buy it. If that's what I have to do, I wouldn't buy it.
Okay.
And they said, it's not your fault, you didn't build it, it just happens to have a suite.
Okay, thanks.
So I appreciate the delegation. I think it's good. I'll follow up with you directly. I think someone from my office did that as well. And I think what we'll do is we'll clarify the township is on a path to solving exactly this issue. And so I think it's a matter of communicating that a little bit better than we have. And so I'll definitely be doing that. Thank you very
Great.
much for your delegation today.
Great, thank you.
All right, next delegation is C6, Stephanie and Jamie Hackle. All right, so you have 5 minutes. Please go ahead. Thank you again for coming here today.
I have some pictures, but we just brought them to you. Okay, thank you. Okay, we are here today respectfully to ask for your support and allow us to preserve our Little Red farmhouse on our 10-acre family property. This house was built in or around 1926. We're not quite sure exactly of the year. And as it approaches its 100th anniversary, it represents a piece of Langley's history that cannot be recreated once it's gone. Every year there are fewer and fewer homes of this age still standing, and with each year, with each one that disappears is a small part of our community story disappears with it. For our family, this is much more than an old house. We've had our 3 children there and had hopes of raising their children there one day also. It is a home where generations have lived, gathered, and built memories. We are still in touch with the old owners who we bought it from, who grew up in that home with 3 brothers. When we purchased the property, they were terrified that we were going to tear it down, and they were thrilled when we invited them back after we had renovated the house. Our hope is to preserve this as a secondary dwelling so that our grandparents, our parents, and eventually our children and grandchildren may be able to continue living on the same property. We want this to remain a true legacy property and a place where multiple generations can stay connected to the land and to Langley's history. My grandparents, Alfred and Eleanor Deglin, were proud Langley pioneers. They helped shape this community during a very different time when Langley was built on strong family values, agriculture, hard work, and neighbors helping neighbors. My grandfather owned 8 acres at the top of Willoughby at 68th and 204th, and that's where I grew up. Preserving this farmhouse is our way of honoring their legacy and ensuring the future generations understand where our family came from and the role that they played in this community. Our family has always believed in investing in Langley. We do love it here, not for ourselves, but for the benefit of the community. My father, Alf Deglin, was a longtime Langley realtor with Home Life Benchmark. We are the owners of Minto Contracting, the daycare Friends at Five Corners, and we're also investors in Haven and Stevens Langley alongside the Rashinsky brothers. My husband Jamie is also the GM of the A1 Langley Thunder lacrosse team, but he hates public speaking, so that's why I'm doing this. We've chosen to build our lives and our businesses in and our future here because we believe in this community and we want to contribute to its success. Over the past several years, we've worked diligently and in good faith with both the Township of Langley and the ALC, trying to find any reasonable solution that would allow this little red farmhouse to remain. We've gone back and forth countless times exploring every option that's been suggested. We've offered to permanently decommission the home as a residence and use it only as a storage building or an office. We had a bee farm on the property. Then we switched to a tree farm, but the tree farm wasn't big enough to support the ALC use of the property and qualify for farm status. At every turn, our goal has been remaining the same to preserve a piece of Langley's history. We're not asking for an additional home or development opportunity. We're simply asking for the chance to save a nearly 100-year-old farmhouse that has stood on this land for generations and longer than any of us have been around. We are willing to do whatever is necessary to protect it, because once it's demolished, a piece of Langley's heritage will be gone forever. Our property is 10 acres. We are fortunate enough to have the space to preserve this historic farmhouse without affecting neighboring properties or changing the rural character of the area. We simply want to keep the existing home that has already stood for a century rather than see another historic building disappear forever. Sorry. Across BC, communities are realizing the importance of preserving heritage wherever possible. It's not only found in museums or designated downtown buildings, sometimes it's found in a modest farmhouse that has quietly stood for generations, witnessing the growth and transformation of an entire community around it. Once a house like this is demolished, its history is gone forever. As council, you have the opportunity to help preserve not only a building, but a family history and a small piece of Langley's heritage. Nearly 100 years after it was built, this little red farmhouse still stands, and we hope that with your support, it will continue standing for another 100 years, allowing future generations of our family to appreciate the sacrifices, hard work, and values that those who came before them. Today, we respectfully ask for you to help us preserve this home, to protect a piece of Langley's history, and allow our family to continue building our future while respecting our past. Thank you for your time.
Good to see you again, you guys. Now, I've actually gone out there and had a look at this house, and from my understanding when I was talking to you before, was that you missed the possibility of having this declared heritage by 1 year. Am I correct?
Yes, but we did talk to the Heritage Society, and they no longer deem a year to have it considered heritage. So that when we applied years ago and started asking about this, they said it missed heritage by 1 year. So then we went, oh, okay, what can we do? But now they're saying that there's no set year, but homes as old as this are all classified as heritage. It's got like half a foundation underneath it. It's dirt, half foundation. So, yeah, now they're deeming all old homes as heritage. So there's not a specific year that would have granted us in.
And that was well over a year ago, correct?
Oh, this was probably 5 years ago now.
Yep. And you've also got, you've got some children, correct?
We do.
And one day you're looking at having the kids play there, even come and play for the Thunder, right?
Well,
One does already.
yeah, my grandpa, Alf Deglin, he lives with my parents, but ideally, we want to move him into the house, and then once he's gone, my parents are getting up there, so is Jamie's. We'd like to move them into this property, and then
Than us.
And that house is definitely livable. I was in it and
it's
inspected it.
beautiful.
And it's great.
We renovated it. It's the old owners that we're still in touch with. I got these old pictures from him. When we bought it, they thought that we were going to tear it down, and then we renovated the inside and brought them back to take photos, and they were crying looking at the house because they thought that we were going to tear it down, and we're still in touch with him, and he was wanting to be here today, but he couldn't make it, so.
Well, thanks for bringing this forward, because I recently did a tour with the Heritage Society, and one of the themes that came through all the time was that too many of these heritage buildings have been torn down in the past, especially out in the Aldergrove area. So thanks for bringing this forward. I look forward to seeing how we can keep this building in place. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming. And I can see you're super emotional about this, but I'm not super familiar with your story, and I'm just wondering, what is it that you're being asked to do? Because clearly you used the word demolish. So is the ALC asking you to demolish?
We had to put a.
No,
Go ahead.
sorry, the township. We have a bond with you guys for, I think, $50,000 for a demo permit because we built our house in the far back of the property.
5 years ago.
I see.
But we had hoped that we could, I know there's a lot of other properties in Langley that have 2, 3 homes or monster homes and all the things, and we had just thought that maybe this could be passed because it's a family property. We bought this for our forever home and truly did hope that eventually it's a family legacy. Cost of living is ridiculous. We have 3 children, so we're probably going to have one living with us for a very long time, and the red house would just be perfect, and we could put them in the front of the property, and we're in the back, and.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And I'm happy to help support whatever, I don't know if someone have a motion or whatever, but again, not super familiar with the situation, so I'll leave it for now, but thank you for delegating, and hopefully we can help you.
Thank you. We're also gonna have to deal with the ALC.
Okay,
also,
that was actually one of
because
my questions. It is in the ALR.
We're ALR.
Ah, okay.
So we had a bee farm and we did that for a long time, but to be honest, the reason we stopped is because bees poop all over the place and it's hard to get off, literally it's hard to get off vehicles. My family lives on the 10 acres next door and it was just a headache, and then we did a tree farm.
Okay.
And then the ALC said the tree farm wasn't large enough, we had to do more acreage, so we were then thinking about trying to go that route or decommission it, just to not have it taken down. We could use it as an office for our businesses.
We lose about 4 acres in the creek.
Because we have what they call, you've probably heard of the Flowerdew residents, kind of the same situation, I think, where they had to decommission this beautiful little heritage home. But anyways, I don't know if that's gonna bring you any good news.
I mean,
It's-
we just don't want it taken down. Well,
Yeah.
we have businesses, we can use it as an office. We're willing to do anything
Okay.
just to not have this beautiful house demoed. You'll be able to see it in the pictures.
Okay, thank you for coming.
Yes, I really appreciate you taking the time to fill us in on this and also your passion for history. That's wonderful. I think this is another one that we have to send to staff to work with you to come up with some sort of a solution. Seems a shame to lose that piece of heritage. I just don't understand why you can't get a heritage, like an official heritage designation for, from somebody.
I called Fred Pepin, and he had come out years ago when
Yeah.
I first contacted him to make sure that we didn't have to tear this thing down. And he came out, and he at that time had said it was 1 year off of being classified heritage, or we would have been okay to keep it. And then I contacted him again, but he, I think, is away on vacation. But he was all, all for supporting it, and it, like I said, it doesn't even need to be rented. It's not about that. We just don't want this torn down.
Yeah.
It just would be such a shame. And my grandparents, Alf and Eleanor, they owned 8 acres up at the top of Willoughby where all the new development is. But there was actually a newspaper article with my grandfather, the house that Alf built, because he built it with his own hands, and that was up in Willoughby all those years ago, and his house had to be obviously torn down. But this is another one. It doesn't need to be. There's no development, and it's just this little old farmhouse that we would like to keep and hopefully have one of our kids in, so they won't be in our house till they're 40.
I can certainly relate to that point of view. You're on ALR land. There must be some provision to be able to have a secondary dwelling of some sort.
Unless it's for farm help specifically, but the farm has to meet their criteria, and bees didn't do it. The tree farm wasn't large enough, and then we have a big ravine that runs through the back of the property, a fish-bearing stream. So we don't have enough space. We could, there is space. We could do whatever they want to try to make it so that it would be deemed farm help, but we just want to keep it
Well, even a
standing.
home site severance might be possible, because it's the old home site, right? And it's still in the family. And you're saying that you're gonna have your dad come and live in there?
Well, my parents have owned the property next to us for 30 years now.
Yeah.
They have 10 acres next to us. We bought the one, we call it the compound, and we've got the 10 acres next, so we're a 20-acre compound, and we just want to try to.
One of those at first, her parents or my parents.
We're just trying to keep this thing up, and I didn't think I would care enough about something like this, but as soon as we saw the house, when we went into it and demolished and renovated the inside, there were newspaper clippings from like 1918, 1920, and they were coming out of the walls. We should have kept them, but I thought that it's just a shame. It would just be heartbreaking to have this kind of a home torn down. If it was new, if it was a trailer, I would not care, but it's just, there's just a lot to it, and the property and the pictures from before my parents owned the neck, like, it's just a shame.
Well, maybe even you two could retire into it someday when you want to downsize and let the kids take the big house.
Into that. As long as they look after the big house.
Yeah, well, that's always an issue, isn't it? Well, yeah, I'm definitely supporting a referral on this to staff, so thank you for coming and talking to us today.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Huckle, for coming, Stephanie. I did one quick question before I know there'll be a motion to refer this to staff. You didn't say you're related to Alf Deglin, did you?
That's my father.
Oh, my God. I knew him from the Langley Rugby Club a number of years ago. We were both on the executive together. He was a great guy, and I know he passed away, and I was at a service. Now, back to you.
Oh, that's my dad's cousin.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Not my dad. Alf was a realtor. Al, there's
Oh, okay, you
there's
got the
4
two
Alf
mixed up.
Deglins.
Sorry about that.
And then there's Al, and he's the cousin, but
Okay, but were they both involved with rugby, though?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, my dad, soccer, rugby.
Okay, so I knew both of them. Okay, sorry, I want to clarify that. I didn't. And so back to your issue, I think that will be a referral motion. We'll have to look into it. I think I'd like to come down and see the property. I'm sure other members of council that haven't been there would like to as well. And thank you for coming again.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Worship, and thanks very much for coming and for your presentation. Ahead of the delegation, just kind of looking into it a little bit, our zoning bylaw that applies to your property allows for up to 2 homes. And so in your communication with our staff, have they cited specifically it's the ALC's regulations that are requiring you to take down the home, or would it be the
We would
municipalities?
take some of it down to get down to 968
Right,
square
okay.
feet.
We went overboard with our house that we built in the back, and the square footage is what is keeping it from being kept.
Right,
So
okay.
we built our big house that's in the back of the property that you can't see from the front, and then we didn't know that at the time, that was gonna factor into this, and had it been, we would have shrunk the house because it's much too big for any of our liking and to solve this problem, but we didn't know. And then
Right.
once we finished the house, went to get the final, and then they were like, well, no, this is too much because of and we weren't aware. We had no idea. And had we been aware, we would have definitely shrunk our house down with enough to keep it.
I think 2020 is the new rule came in.
Right.
That's right when we started building, so it was too late.
And has there been indication, because for our heritage registry, there's sort of 2 classifications. It's not quite as stringent as I'm aware of, like the city of Vancouver, where it's, if you get that ultimate heritage designation, you're untouchable.
Yeah.
Have you been told, or has there been indication that if you are able to achieve this heritage status, the home is absolutely protected, cannot be altered?
Yes,
Okay.
but, so when I first approached them, and maybe it was 6 years ago at the very beginning, they said, oh, it just missed heritage by a year, sorry, we can't help you. And then, since then, obviously, things have changed. I haven't kept in touch enough to know what the rules are now, but as far as I know, they said there's not a technical year, but then we can have heritage come out, relook at the property, or relook at the house, and then if they deem it heritage or old enough to be considered that, then we could have, we could have help from them to
Right.
make it somewhat untouchable.
Right, okay, so it's the Langley Heritage Society that would be
Yes.
coming out, it wouldn't be some provincial organization?
No,
Okay.
Langley Heritage is what I've started with, and
Awesome. Okay, appreciate the clarification, thank you very much, and I'll be supporting any referral that we have today.
thank you.
Councilor Bailey?
Yeah, if everyone's finished, I'd like to move that,
Yeah, no, we'll just wrap up the delegation first, and then we'll
Okay.
deal with motions. Okay. Yeah, so I appreciate you coming. I think it's Councilor Pratt, I think, clarified a couple of the key factors. If staff suggested that you engage a heritage consultant, similar to Donald Luxton or something like that, that they do a heritage assessment, and it's not just based on age, it's based on a point scoring system of a number of factors. Has that been suggested to you, that would basically outline the heritage value of the structure to get you that designation?
Not,
Had never been suggested to you?
no, it hasn't.
Okay, so I'll make sure that we follow up with you directly on a potential process to solve this problem for you. So I'll do that myself, okay?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I'll be in touch, and thank you very much for coming today.
Okay, do you want these pictures?
Yes, if you could please provide those to the clerk, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, we'll make sure those are distributed to council. Councilor Bailey, go ahead.
yeah, I'd like to move a motion that we have staff assist the Hackles to save this house.
All right, that's seconded by Councilor Rent. Yeah, go ahead. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just, I see it a shame, you have to take a part of a heritage house off to meet a standard or that kind of stuff. And I believe policies are guidelines and things like that. So in the name of heritage, I've been in that house. I've seen it and I've seen the property. I see no reason why we can't support saving some history before it's lost.
Yeah, being on the Heritage Advisory Committee for the last 8 years, and we talk a lot about this kind of stuff. And some of the frustration from some of our rural property owners is that they can't preserve some of the rural properties and some of the buildings in our rural areas. So this is a classic example of that exact thing. So I'm obviously supporting any referral that we can any help that we can to preserve this home.
All right, seeing no other discussion, I'll call the question on that referral of C6. Carries unanimously. Go in reverse order. C5, Councillor Richter, you wish to make a motion?
Yes, I do. I wish to refer C5, Mr. Lapierre's delegation to staff.
Seconded by Councillor Kuntz. Go ahead. Okay, no other discussion? Question on that referral? That carries unanimously. Councillor Ferguson, I think you mentioned
Mr.
C3.
Mayor, that the
C3.
delegation of Janet Ingram Johnson be referred to staff, and that a traffic light installation at the intersection of 256th Street and Fraser Highway be referred to the 2027 budget.
Yeah, I'll second that. Go ahead.
That's pretty well it. Thank you.
No other discussion. Call the question on that referral of C3. That carries unanimously. Okay, move on to reports to council. Councillor Richter, yes, what do you have?
Yes, I think actually all of the delegations today need to be referred to staff. So I'd like to refer the remaining delegations.
Please do it individually if you wish to do that. I'm not sure what items would be work items.
Well, it's 1, 2, and 4.
Yeah, so if you could please do them individually if that's what you'd like to do.
Okay, I'll do them individually.
All right, so starting with C1, what's your referral motion?
Refer to staff well, all we can do is refer to staff, but I really think we need to start working with the family practice to identify what types of areas are needed for new practices to be established in.
Well, that presupposes that's not already going on, but I'll second the referral. Any discussion on that referral? Call the question on the referral of C1. Councilor Richter, you wish to refer C2?
Yes, I'd like to refer C2 to staff.
And what kind of report are you looking for?
Well, clearly there's an issue with this long-standing order that I
We
think.
identified, though, that may not be the case, but if you'd like to clarify.
Well, yeah, I think it should go to staff for a
Been on
report.
council 8 years, I've never heard of this, but let's refer that to council for a report. I'll second that referral. Is there any other discussion on that referral? Seeing none, I'll call the question on that referral of C2. That carries unanimously. And Councilor Richter, you wish to do C4.
Yes, I'd like to refer that to staff to work with, I guess it's MOTI, Ministry of Transportation.
Yes, we've done one on this delegation before, and there are a number of work items that are ongoing. But if you wish to refer it again,
Well, maybe we could get an update report then on outstanding matters on it.
I believe, Mr. Kuna, that's an outstanding work item anyway, but we can certainly get that confirmed.
That is correct, Your Worship.
So second that. Any more discussion? Referral? Seeing none, call the question on, Councilor Martins, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I was just, wanted just to follow up on your last comments there. It's there's work items underway on this intersection. Is it possible to get a memo update if it's going to take considerable time to address the, work items?
That's correct, Your Worship. The intent here is the referral to staff would provide a status update to council with respect to 264th Street and Fraser Highway intersection. And I believe the outstanding items will continue through the process, whether it's through the design and budget and our MOT approval as well.
Thank you.
All right, call the question on that referral. That carries unanimously. Now we'll carry on to reports to council. Item E1, 16th Avenue Corridor Intersection Study. That has been deferred, so it's back on the floor. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, call the question on E1. That carries unanimously. I'm going to move deferral of item E2 to November 16th, seconded by Councilor Rint. Is there any discussion on deferral? Councilor Richter.
Yeah, why are we, well, I mean, clearly we're deferring it to the next meeting, which will be the new council. But why do we need to defer this again?
No, I think it's appropriate for probably the next council to take up such an important document.
Okay.
All right, so that, call the question on deferral. That carries. Councillor Richter opposed. Item E3, acceptable use of AI policy. I'll move the recommendation, seconded by Councillor Rent. Is there any discussion on E3? Councillor Pratt, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. It was kind of a clarification question through yourself to staff. In the report where it itemizes when the use of AI is permitted, and it highlights in the course of township business, does that apply to members of council or is that staff?
To Your Worship, to Councillor Pratt, that would apply to members of council.
So members of council in the course of township business, so whether they're representing the township at an event or whether they're sitting at this table, is the use of AI at this table guided by this policy if it was approved today?
To Your Worship, to Councillor Pratt, so the policy itself would apply to elected officials that are conducting township business, and being in the council chambers, that would be considered conducting township business.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to thank staff for bringing this policy forward. I attended a session at UBCM talking about the use of AI in the municipal context. Some representatives from the City of Vancouver spoke on this, and how quickly we can lose our proprietary information through the incorrect use of AI. Just simple inquiries made, not through the correct channels. So I'm really glad to see this. Great initiative by staff. Thank you for bringing this forward.
Yeah, how does this get monitored? Who will determine, how it's being used and or not being used properly?
Your Worship, to Councillor Coons, so in the event when an elected official, staff member is using AI, the intent would be that they seek authorization to use AI. That would either flow through myself or the Director of Information and Technology. So we do rely on the individuals to disclose their use of AI and go through the process and be compliant with the council policy if it is endorsed by council.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just to follow up on a question that Councillor Pratt just raised. The policy will, of course, apply to councillors, but I'm just wondering, are councillors required to use AI? Because some of us have an allergy to technology.
To Your Worship, to Councillor Richter, there is no requirement to use AI or artificial intelligence. It's just in the event it is being used for township businesses, there's a policy that would now essentially provide a framework of how to use AI and the appropriate disclosures and ensuring compliance with any legislation or policies.
Okay, so we don't have to use it, but if we do, we need to get it checked.
That's correct.
Okay. Second question, what's the anticipated cost of this for software upgrades?
To Your Worship, to Councillor Richter, with respect to this council policy, it's just implementation, so that would be just staff resource and time. And currently, IT is already going through separate, has the budget, and if there's any budget request required, we'll do it during the 2027 budget process for Copilot Premium, upgrading some of the Gov AI and other government-friendly artificial intelligence software programming.
Okay, so I can see there will likely be some software costs. Probably the bigger question, are there going to be related hardware costs as well? Because that's where the real money is.
The hardware costs are if we build it in-house, but what we're doing is we're subscribing to hosted services, so there's no anticipated hardware costs.
Great, thank you.
All right, seeing no discussion, call the question on E3. That carries unanimously. Item E4, residential interim on-site stormwater detention servicing within a portion of the Williams Neighborhood Plan. I'll move it, seconded by Councillor Pratt. Any discussion on E4? Councillor Richter?
Yeah, I just had a question actually of clarification to staff on this. I just have to get to my report here. On page 3, it mentions that a surface facility in the form of a detention pond shall be provided to accommodate. Does that mean that all these pilot areas have to have above ground, or are below ground options also possible? It could be decommissioned when the real detention pond gets put in place up there?
To your worship, to Councillor Richter, so it's a very limited pilot program that's intended to only cover the eligible lands. The eligible lands are identified in attachment A, so that's north, we'd characterize it as Northern Williams Neighborhood Plan north of 80th. So there's certain criterias that need to be met in order for them to be eligible. One of the criteria indicated, as you have mentioned, is surface facilities in the form of a detention pond. Essentially, those will be provided to accommodate interim stormwater. It'd be only interim in measure. And then once the final detention pond is constructed, then that surface facility then can be essentially, as you kind of articulated, decommissioned, or then that would potentially be further developable land that can be developed.
Okay, but I was just wondering, like, do they have to have it like above ground, or can it be below ground? Like a cistern of something?
To your worship, to Councillor Richter, I believe the intent, since it's interim, therefore we would prefer the surface facility, but Mr. Richards can maybe speak more on the technical rationale for that as well.
Thank you. Through Mr. Cooner's supplemental comments, I would concur with Mr. Cooner. The surface facility is indicated to provide for a number of items. One, it's more easily removable in terms of the specifics of it. A tank facility would have more investment involved, likely have a longer time frame. These are meant to be interim in their nature. Also, a surface facility is easier to maintain and would provide for emergency spillway measures, which are also included here. So for those items, the surface facility is the item of eligibility.
Okay, but is that something that if a proponent has a different idea, they can discuss with staff? Because it's not a bylaw per se, it's a policy right now, or a pilot project.
Through your worship to Councilor Richter, as you noted, correct, it's a pilot program as directed by council, and staff's recommendation is to endorse the eligibility criteria.
Okay.
And based on the factors mentioned, the surface facility is the recommended approach.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. 2 questions through yourself to staff, just following up on the surface facility conversation. On larger construction sites, you'll see a ESC pond. The surface facilities that are anticipated being used for stormwater retention. Is there much difference in terms of the landscaping requirements or the condition that these ponds are kept in, seeing as it could be some time before these surface facilities are decommissioned and replaced with homes in their final state?
Through your worship, Councilor Pratt. So as outlined in the criteria, all of our development applications require servicing agreements. So eligibility criteria require a number of different items there. Through our servicing agreement, security by RC for their location, no build on that facility until the ultimate facility is available, for their maintenance, for the requirement for a professional engineer to visit the site yearly, make sure that it's functioning correctly. Also, emergency spillway measures as well. So there's a bunch of different items identified in eligibility criteria, as you've noted, sort of safeguard those items should it last in a nearer time frame versus an interim time frame. Items there are also trying to encourage the proponent to fulfill those items and decommission those items versus them being a longer term facility, which is why it's identified as a pilot interim project, Your Worship.
Right, so I guess to follow up on that, if I'm thinking of one pond in particular for a condo site right now, the condition of the pond itself is very clearly temporary. You know, there's construction materials around it and everything like that. So for these pilot ponds that are used for stormwater retention, is there going to be a bit higher of a standard of care and maintenance for simply the residents who live around the pond, if it's going to be some time, medium term, before the eventual pond? Because my subsequent question after this is in relation to a clause here in the report stating that we anticipate it being some time before the ultimate pond is complete.
Through your worship, Councillor Pratt. So the interim pilot program would only pertain to applications that are currently being permitted. They would have associated landscape plans. So as part of that, we would look for what the ultimate landscape plan would be for the site, as well as part of that service agreement, what the interim items would be around that. So there's items about fencing for safety concerns, inflows, outlets, emergency spillways, and those types of items on the supervision of, one, the project landscape architect, and two, the design and maintenance of an engineer, your worship.
Okay, I appreciate that. Gives me some comfort. So thank you. The last question I had in relation to this is in the summary or the background of the report. It talks about the application, project number 08250098. It was granted third reading, actually, July 26, 2021, so 5 years almost to the day. And then it goes on to mention subsequently other agreements that were agreed to between the proponent and the township. And then the background kind of concludes by saying, as such, construction of the ultimate community stormwater detention facility is not anticipated in the near term. Can staff comment why in their sort of assessment we're not anticipating that stormwater detention pond being completed in the near term?
Through words to Councillor Pratt, a number of items there. So there's some, as staff understand it, some ownership items in relation to that piece. Secondly, as outlined in the report also, since that time frame has lapsed or has progressed, there will be some related construction costs and other considerations that might pertain, and the proponent may wish to update those items in relation to the DCC front enders and the development works agreement. So those items would also take, if they were to be elected to proceed in terms of cost recovery from the proponent, they would take their natural course. And given council's current schedule and identification from the proponent with relation to that, would take us in easily probably into next year, your worship.
Okay, thank you very much.
Seeing no other discussion, I'll call the question on E4. That carries unanimously. Item E5, Water Local Area Service, 55A Avenue, 2048 block. I'm going to just direct council's attention. There's 3 resolutions, 1, 2, and 3. I'm only moving number 1 and not moving number 2 and 3. Is there a second to that? Seconded by Councillor Ferguson. Is there any discussion on E5, resolution number 1? Councillor Richter.
Just curious, why are the other 2 just not going to be moved, or are we dividing this?
I would suggest that we not move the other 2.
Okay, is there a particular reason why?
I think we could wait to see if the local area petition is successful and then look at how to pay for it.
Oh, so it'll come back down the road then?
Then we can consider that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, seeing no other discussion, call the question on E5, number 1. That carries unanimously. Item E6, Heritage Legacy Fund grant applications. Anybody wish to move that? Moved by Councillor Pratt, seconded by Councillor Bailey. Is there any discussion on E6? None. Call the question on E6. That carries unanimously. Item E7, Build Community Strong Fund. I'll move it, seconded by Councillor Rint. Is there any discussion on E7? Seeing none, call the question on E7. Carries unanimously. Item E8, potential 2272 Street active transportation improvements, moved by Councillor Rint, seconded by Councillor Ferguson. Councillor Richter.
Yes, I'm just wondering what the cost is going to be. Do we have a total cost of this?
Your worship, to Councillor Richter, the completed detailed design of 272nd Street active transportation, I believe it's estimated about $300,000.
$300,000. Okay, thank you. And we have the money to pay for it, obviously. Which account's it coming from?
We'd be referring it to the budget process.
Okay.
Seeing no discussion, I'll call the question on E8. Carries unanimously. Closing gaps in Willoughby's multi-use path network. Moved by Councillor Pratt, seconded by Councillor Rint. Councillor Pratt.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. I'm excited to see this back on the table. However, I will have a referral motion if there's no other speakers. Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. So my referral motion is that the item be referred back to staff to work directly with Hub Cycling Langley on updating their maps included in Report 2699 to review the MUP network and to outline for council consideration the method by which staff will pursue ongoing consultation with the community.
Seconded by Councillor Rint. Any discussion on that? Wish to speak to it?
No, I'm okay.
To Your Worship, could we just have that repeated? Clerk had missed that.
Refer back to staff to work directly with Hub Cycling Langley on updating the maps included in Report 26-99 to review the MUP network and to outline for council consideration the method by which staff will pursue ongoing consultation with the community.
Any other discussion on that referral of E9? Seeing none, call a question on that referral. That carries unanimously. Item E10, temporary use permit application number 0021. Does anybody wish to move that? I'll move it. Is there a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Bailey. Yep, go ahead. Oh, there's any discussion on that? Councillor Richter, go ahead.
I was wondering about the trucks that will be eligible to be used under this temporary use permit. Are they going to be trucks from their own business, or is it trucks from other businesses as well?
To Your Worship, to Councillor Richter, there's no restriction with respect to the commercial vehicle's ownership, whether it's within the existing business or other businesses.
Okay, so the map on page 11 shows actually 3 separate truck parking areas in there. But only one is sort of highlighted. Is it just that area? Or are the other areas going to be eligible to have trucks parked on them as well as a result of this temporary use permit?
To Your Worship, to Councillor Richter, the specific map you're referring to, I believe there's 3 separate headings due to the fact it's the road that is being proposed creates the divide. So they've highlighted that there'll be trucks to the, if I get my directions correct, north of the property, south of it, and at the center, but that's a road dividing that, the space where the trucks will be parked. So that's hence why there's 3 separate headings that show where the trucks will be located.
Yeah, okay. So I guess what's concerning me about this, I think it needs public input. Because if anybody can park their trucks in there, how many trucks are we talking about? It looks like a good third of that property.
To Your Worship, to Councillor Richter, I believe, were you seeking that the amount of trucks being parked, or that is there an opportunity to do a public input opportunity?
Well, I think the neighbors need a public input opportunity.
To Your Worship, to Councillor Richter, then we just need a referral back to staff, or direction specifically to do a public input opportunity with respect to this temporary use permit application.
Well, I'd like to make that referral. I'll refer it back to staff for a public input opportunity on this.
Seconded by Councillor Martins. Make sure that's clear. All right, any discussion on that, Councillor Richter?
No, I just think you've got essentially a 5-acre parcel there that is gonna have trucks on it. And it looks like it could be anybody's trucks. So I think the neighbors need to have a word or two about that.
To be clear, you're making a referral back to staff for public input opportunity about the truck parking
Yeah.
on non-railroad land. Okay, Councilor Pratt, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. I'm inclined to support the public input opportunity simply because I'll be curious to know what the opinion of family members who potentially have people who are currently interred there at the cemetery would be. I mean, in terms of neighbors, you've got the transfer station to the north and a truck park to the south and to the east, and Dale Ball, no, it's not Dale Ball, sorry, it's Philip Jackman Park to the west. So for me, the public input opportunity would probably more cover off the families who are affected at the cemetery, and that's what I look forward to hearing about.
Seeing no other discussion, I'll call the question on that referral. That referral carries. Councilor Ferguson, Councilor Rint, Mayor Woodward opposed. All right, so move on to bylaws for first and second reading. Official community plan amendment, rezoning application number bylaws 6227, 6228. Can you go 20 more minutes, or would you like that now? We do one more, and then we'll call recess. Okay, so Councilor Bailey, no problem. So F1, I'll move it. Is there a seconder to F1? Seconded by Councilor Rint. Is there any discussion on F1? Councilor Martins.
Thank you. I know you said just one more, but my question is the same for both F1 and F2, if that's all right. In the staff report on page 4, question to staff through the chair. Under the background and history section, the second bullet point, it says that on April 29th, 2024, a temporary use permit was issued by council to permit the parking of commercial vehicles for a 3-year period subject to 8 conditions. Site clearing and commercial vehicle parking activities have commenced prior to completing the temporary use permit conditions, and that same line is used in both reports. So is it okay that they went ahead with their activities before completing the conditions, or is this something that we should be of concern that they haven't complied with all their conditions before doing a temporary use permit, let alone now applying for a permanent? If I could get some clarification from staff about that, the language of that.
Through your worship, Councilor Martins. So there's, as you noted, there's 2 separate and distinct processes happening here. One is the temporary use permit the council issued in 2024, and that's being actively worked on by the proponent. All those conditions, some of those conditions are still in process, landscaping items like that. The proponent is elected to avail themselves of some of the uses that are permitted under that at this stage. Second, distinct from that, is the current application, which is for the plan amendment and rezoning to make the commercial vehicle parking permanent. So some of those items that are conditions of the temporary use permit may also overlap in terms of conditions of the proposed plan amendment and rezoning, but they're separate and distinct, and staff continue to work with the proponent on the fulfillment of those conditions.
Okay, so is it appropriate then that we're considering a permanent when we haven't even finished the temporary process? I guess that's my question. How are we doing this at the same time?
Through your worship to Councilor Martins, as noted, they're separate and distinct items. There are occasions when proponents come in and they're asking for a use that may be a use that had maybe not been permitted over time due to a zoning bylaw change or something like that, or a pre-existing use. In this specific instance, council has provided for the temporary use permit for that use. That is, and the use has been permitted. Some of the subject conditions as outlined, landscaping, for example, has not been completed. However, they are conditions of that permit. And once again, that the separate and distinct process is what's before council today.
Okay, thank you. And then my other question, and again, it's the same in both reports, on page 7, under the tree protection and replacement category. The comment under that graph says, staff note that premature tree removal occurred on the subject site and pursuant to subdivision and servicing bylaw 5382, Schedule 1, tree protection section 5.1, and consistent with past practice, funds toward replacement tree planting is a development prerequisite. I guess, again, I would appreciate if I can, through the chair to staff, some clarification on, this sounds like perhaps this was a wrongdoing, but I'm not sure that it uses the term premature tree removal. If you could perhaps elaborate on that section.
Through your worship to Councillor Martins. So as previously mentioned, as part of the temporary use permit conditions, there is finalization of landscape plans, which may involve in certain occasions what trees on the site need to be removed or altered or supplemented in terms of that. Staff note that prior to the finalization of those drawings, there was some tree removal there. The Township Subdivision Development Servicing Bylaw has a requirement of staff to advise council of such an occurrence. So that's what staff's doing in terms of the report here. Past practice with respect to this item, I'm thinking of some items, say in the Willoughby area near the Colville Exchange. We've had apartment buildings there that have gone ahead and done some road works that have impacted some trees prior to those finalization of those tree management plans being done. So we bring those forward. Typically the proponent then will work with staff and provide some monetary compensation for that, typically in a ratio of say 3-to-1 or some item in that range. So that's what the item there in the staff report is referencing.
Okay, so there isn't actual enforcement done, it's just absorbed in paying it forward, is that what I'm understanding?
Through your worship, specifically, there is enforcement. So when staff are made aware of an item, or if they're going about the regular course of their business on other items that they recognize that's happening, then we will contact the proponents, qualified professionals who are responsible for that, indicating to them that they're not either one, in line with the bylaw, or two, their permit or the process that they're undergoing with the township with respect to that item. In such a case, so where those trees have already been impacted, as I mentioned previously, the bylaw outlines that we advise council and work with the proponent on appropriate compensation measures for that item.
Okay, thank you. So that does concern me a little bit, but it sounds like there is potential remedy, as you said. So I appreciate you answering those questions.
Yeah, well, I appreciate Councillor Martins raising them because certainly if there were original conditions set for the temporary use permit that were never fulfilled, not to mention the premature tree removal, I think this should be referred to or deferred until the original conditions of the temporary use permit are met. So I'll defer the floor at this point, Mr. Mayor, but I'd like to come back and put that motion to defer this until the temporary use permit conditions are met.
Yeah, I'm a little confused on this one. I'm looking at significant trees on site is 0. And then you're talking about premature tree removal. So how does that work? So obviously no significant trees were removed. So can I get some information on what size of trees and that were removed?
Through your worship, Councillor Bailey, I don't have the information of the exact size of trees that were there. As mentioned previously, there's two separate and distinct processes here. So the rezoning report in front of council, the plan amendment and rezoning report in front of council now will reflect the updated information we have at the time of the application and current, whereas the temporary use permit issued in 2024 would have included that tree information in there. The exact size, caliper, and species of trees, I don't have that at hand currently.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Richter, go ahead.
Yes, I move deferral of this bylaw until all the conditions for the temporary use permit are met.
All right, is there a second of
Then I challenge the chair.
I'm going to rule that out of order on the basis that, as that Mr. Richardson identified, they're two separate processes. So to link them together to meet the conditions of one, I don't see how that can be a condition of another. Ms. Brower, the chair's been challenged, so if you could please conduct the challenge.
Okay, so I will open the vote, and if you vote in affirmative, you are supporting the chair. If you vote in the negative, you believe the chair is in error and you're not supporting it. You understand? Okay, so the chair is sustained with Councillor Kuntz, Councillor Martins, and Councillor Richter opposed.
Is there any other discussion on F1? No, seeing none, I'll call the question on F1. Check what?
I'm sorry, could you please revote? I just didn't have you back in before you voted. Yes, please. The challenge to the chair was completed. Unfortunately, the mayor called the motion before I was able to put it back in the vote. So if we could please redo F1. No, we completed that one, so now it's just whether you're supporting the original motion or not. Yes.
All right, we'll get back underway here. Item F2, official community plan amendment rezoning application number 100311, bylaw number 62296230. You wish to move that? Moved by Councillor Ferguson, seconded by Councillor Pratt. Is there any discussion on F2? All right, seeing none, I'll call the question on F2. That carries with Councillor Martins, Councillor Richter opposed. Bylaws for first, second, and third reading, G1, rezoning application number 100781, bylaw number 6251. I'll move it, seconded by Councillor Rint. Is there any discussion on G1? Yeah, seeing none, call the question on G1. Yeah, carries unanimously. G2, rezoning application number 100751, bylaw number 6221. Moved by Councillor Rint, seconded by Councillor Bailey. Is there any discussion on G2? Councillor Richter?
Yes, on this particular application, there's 48 significant trees on page 6, none of which will be retained, but there will be 92 replacement trees. And I'm just thinking, I know this is an SMU application, but there must be a way to retain more trees. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess for me, I'm looking at this and I'll be supporting it, but probably one of the first smooths we've seen, and this is going to be right beside the Campbell Industrial Park and 32nd Avenue. It just doesn't seem to be a really great location, but I guess that's not for us to decide. But anyway, I just wanted to make those comments.
Right, seeing no discussion, I'll call the question on G2. Carries. Councillor Richter opposed. Bylaws for final adoption, I1, Metro West Intermunicipal Business License Bylaw and Agreement Bylaw, bylaw number 6236, 6237. I'll move it, seconded by Councillor Ritt. Any discussion on I1? Seeing none, I'll call the question on I1. That carries unanimously. I2, proposed green building permit rebate program increases bylaw number 6238, 6239. I'll move it, seconded by Councillor Rint. Any discussion on I2? Seeing none, call the question on I2. Carries unanimously. I3, 2026 update to the subdivision and development servicing bylaw, bylaw number 6211, 6225. Moved by Councillor Rint, seconded by Councillor Ferguson. Any discussion on I3? Seeing none, call the question on I3. That carries. Councillor Richter opposed. I4, rezoning application number 100771. Moved by Councillor Rint, seconded by myself. Is there any discussion on I4? Seeing none, call the question on I4. That carries unanimously. I5, rezoning application number 100783, bylaw number 6129. Moved by Councillor Rint, seconded by Councillor Bailey. Councillor Richter.
Yeah, I'm just wondering about the natural park, the Fern-Rich Nature Park that's down on this application. And I know that it's not complete yet, but I'm just wondering if we are going to be able to complete it when? And do we need a motion to add funding to the 2027 to 2031 budget for consideration by the next council? So I guess my question to staff is, will there be funding to complete this park coming through in the next budget process?
Your worship, to Councillor Richter, this specific bylaw for final adoption is with respect to the lands that do not include that Fern Ridge Nature Park. But in any event, in my recollection is that nature park has already been endorsed and approved, and it's been referred to the 2027 budget process.
Okay, thank you.
Seeing no other discussion, I'll call the question on I-5 rezoning bylaw final adoption. Carries unanimously. I'll move adoption of development permit number 101490, seconded by Councillor Ferguson. Any discussion on development permit? Seeing none, call the question on the development permit for I-5. That carries unanimously. I-6, official community plan amendment, rezoning application number 100303, bylaw number 61356136. I'll move it, seconded by Councillor Pratt. Any discussion on I-6? Seeing none, call the question on I-6. Carries unanimously. I-7, rezoning application number 100790, bylaw number 6246. Moved by Councillor Rint, seconded by Councillor Bailey. Any discussion on I-7? Seeing none, call the question on I-7. Carries unanimously. I-8, official community plan amendment, rezoning application number 100291, bylaw number 60906091. Moved by Councillor Rint, seconded by Councillor Ferguson. Any discussion on I-8? Seeing none, call the question on I-8. That carries unanimously. Does anybody wish to make a council report? Councillor Martins, go ahead.
Thank you. So 4 years ago, at our inaugural council meeting, I shared Theodore Roosevelt's words from The Man in the Arena. His reminder that it is not the critic who counts spoke to the responsibility of public service, the willingness to step into the arena, make difficult decisions, accept criticism, learn, and keep moving forward in service to others. As this council term comes to a close, those words mean even more to me than they did on that first day. Serving as a Township of Langley councillor has been one of the greatest honors of my life. More than anything, these past 4 years have left me with a deep sense of gratitude. Public service has always been at the heart of my adult working life, and serving on council allowed me to continue that commitment to the community I love. Along the way, I was reminded that good local government begins with listening, treating people with respect, and building trust. Respect for taxpayers, respect for one another, and respect for the responsibility we've been given are values that have guided every decision I have made. When I reflect on this term, I won't remember every motion or every agenda. I'll remember the people, our veterans, volunteers, first responders, local businesses, young people, seniors, community organizations, and the countless conversations with residents that reminded me why local government matters. I've also come away with an even greater appreciation for the many unsung heroes who serve our community every day: township staff, firefighters, RCMP members, public works crews, educators, healthcare professionals, volunteers, and so many others who quietly make the Township of Langley the incredible place we call home. They deserve our deepest respect and gratitude. To everyone who placed their trust in me over these past 4 years, thank you. Representing you has been a privilege that I never took for granted. Whether we agreed on every issue or not, I always tried to listen, learn, and serve with integrity and respect. This experience has reminded me that leadership isn't about having all the answers. It's about showing up, doing the work, being accountable, treating people with dignity, and leaving your community a little better than you found it. As I close this chapter, I find myself back where I began, with Roosevelt's reminder that the credit belongs to the one who is actually in the arena. Those words challenged me at the beginning of this journey, and they continue to inspire me today. I certainly wasn't perfect. Like anyone who chooses to serve, I faced challenges, made difficult decisions, celebrated successes, and learned many lessons. But every day, I did my very best to serve this community with integrity, respect, and gratitude. Thank you to my council colleagues and to township staff for your dedication to this remarkable community. Most of all, thank you to the residents of the Township of Langley for giving me the extraordinary privilege of serving as your counselor. Finally, to the two people who have shared this journey with me from beginning to end, my family, Matthew and Abigail, thank you. As your mom, I know this role asked a great deal of you as well. You sacrificed family time, shared me with this community, and supported me through every challenge with love, patience, and strength. I hope you know that every day I tried to serve this community in a way that would make you proud. It's been one of the greatest honors of my life. Thank you.
Yes, I'd just like to thank Dr. Christine Bishop, who is a longtime member of our community down in the Brookswood, Fernrich area. And not only that, but she's a very passionate volunteer with stewardship groups, like the Little Campbell Rivershed group. And she very kindly gave me a tour along with some others of the Fernrich Nature Park that is down beside and behind the new fire hall in Brookswood. And I just want to say it's going to be a real gem for this community. It's such an incredible and diverse area for species and birds. And it was, I mean, I can see what it's going to look like once it opens for the public to use. And I hope that day comes sooner as opposed to later. So I was very thankful to hear that we're going to be talking about putting money into finishing that park in the 2027 budget. Thank you.
Yeah, I would concur on the Christine Bishop and the Campbell Watershed Society. I also want to thank Amanda from LEPS. She hosted a bunch of us for the Langley Eats Local dinner. I also attended the Jazz Festival on the weekend, and that was really great to see all the volunteers. Man, there was a lot of volunteers there that pulled that off. And I can't forget, I attended the opening of the fire hall, and that was already a couple of weeks ago, but it looks really great, and I'm happy to have supported that. And I just do have a few words, just reflecting on the last 4 years. So it's hard to believe we've come to the end of another 4-year term. I can still remember walking into the first meeting of this term wondering what the next 4 years would bring. Then somewhere around the second meeting, I remember thinking, wow, this is going to be buckets of fun. Now, I could spend the next couple of minutes talking about some of the challenges, but I think those have been well documented. Instead, I'd rather reflect on why I came here in the first place, and why 4 years later, I'm still grateful for the opportunity to serve. Serving as an independent councillor this term, I knew I didn't have the influence to move every issue forward, but I learned that making a difference isn't measured only by votes around the council table. Some of the most meaningful work happens quietly behind the scenes. While our role as councillors is to make policy and vote on issues that shape our community, the best part of this job is helping people. Taking a phone call from someone who's frustrated, helping them navigate a problem, answering a question, or sometimes just listening. There were rewarding days, and there were certainly difficult ones. Through it all, I tried to stay true to the values that brought me here in the first place. Listen, be prepared, treat people with respect, and do the best job I can for the people who place their trust in me. So I'd like to thank our township staff. Much of the work you do happens behind the scenes and often goes unnoticed. Thank you for your professionalism, your dedication, and for everything you do to serve our community. And finally, to the residents of the Township of Langley, thank you to everyone who supported me, challenged me, and shared your thoughts over the past 4 years. Thank you for the opportunity to serve. It truly is one of the greatest honors of my life.
Yeah, I'm very proud of what occurred in this last couple of weeks here, especially with the opening of Hall 5. That hall has been at the center of what I've been trying to achieve in the last 4 years, and seeing it come in service, I am positive that it will not only help people in the immediate area like it did within a couple hours with a very major MVI on 16th Avenue with a much quicker response, but with the input of the firefighters and everyone involved, I know it's going to save firefighters' lives. It'll reduce cancers, it'll reduce heart, right down to the reduction of CIS, critical incident stress, the way that hull is designed. Also, the burn camp kickoff, I've attended numerous ones over my career, having been on the board of directors for the Burn Fund, and I've got to say, Local 4550 knocked it out of the park. They had an incredible one. The U15 fastball tournament that went on at Noah Booth, the Aldergrove Fair, Jazz Festival, and the Leps Dinner was excellent. But I want to address something that is being gnawing away, and I want to address this issue of debt. And I have a great concern with the debt, but I look at the debt of delay. How much does it cost to not deal with things and to do the capital building that we've done? And I look at the delay that affected 40th Avenue and that we had to fix it properly. The delay of waiting lists for soccer, lacrosse, fastball, pickleball, and etc. I look at the delay that was occurring when we first got on council with labor contracts that were 3 years in advance. And we fixed those very quickly. The delay of not having a fire hall built in 20 years. The delay of having to, about $6 million of renovations that had to go into Hall 3, 4, and 6 because those renovations were delayed. Our RCMP detachment needed about $4 million to fix that place up because it had been ignored for so long. 208th, I think what you see there now speaks to it. But the shortage of parkland that was also put on hold, and now with us expanding the Fern Ridge Nature Park from about 45 acres to 80 acres, I am incredibly proud of being associated with that. And I also look at how these debts of delay are not going to go on, because at the start of this term, we said we were going to do things and we did them. And very rarely do you now hear that politicians do what they say. So I've got to say I am extremely proud of the accomplishments of this council over the last 4 years, and I look forward hopefully to another 4 years of finishing what we started. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd be remiss if I didn't take a couple moments and just recognize that according to research, it's been 1,358 days since our inaugural council meeting of this term. And I think township staff have had to deal with 3 to 4 times that number of questions from me over the course of the term on different items and different reports and different strategies. And so I just want to take the chance and take the time to thank all of our staff for everything that they've done over the last 4 years to make it possible that those of us here who sit at this table and have the honor to sit at this table have been able to move forward with a variety of different items, whether they're big or small. And as somebody who was elected as an independent and who was elected as the youngest councillor, it's been a tremendous learning experience every single one of those 1,358 days. It's been, quite frankly, the honor of my life to be able to sit on the council of my hometown. The Township of Langley was an amazing place to grow up in, whether it was learning how to play soccer at the gravel field at Noel Booth, which I still have scars for, and I'm a little bit jealous that kids moving forward will not be learning how to play soccer on a gravel field at Noel Booth, or whether it's the expanded parks, whatever it is, it's been my mission every single day to be able to leave this place better than we found it. And so that when my kids are growing up here, they have even more opportunities to enjoy and to succeed and to learn how to play sports or how to enjoy nature or to be whoever they want to be. So I want to thank every single person here on council for the experience of the last 4 years. And again, I want to thank staff and of course the people of the Township of Langley. So thank you so much for the opportunity to be able to represent my community in such an amazing way.
Councilor Ferguson?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, announcement that on behalf of the Royal Canadian Legion, they celebrated their 100th anniversary on July the 17th, 2026, from 1926 to 2026. I am wearing the Legion tie today, and I got my Legion button on. I'm a member of the Aldergrove Legion, and they celebrated that day with a remembrance, celebration, entertainment, and some fellowship. Back to council, I always carry my handbook. It's called Making a Difference, Cuff's Guide to Municipal Governance and Leadership. And the one thing is he always indicated when you're working in a challenge, either positive or negative in a relationship at council, you always want to do the very, very best you can. In my situation, it's been more of a bittersweet for me because in November 2020, our house burned down. And despite that challenge, I moved forward with the help of this council, the mayor, and the staff to help me get through that ordeal, and appreciate the work done by the firefighters and staff. Now back to building and making a relationship and a difference. Township of Langley, amongst other communities, we work on a tripartite situation where we work with council, ourselves, staff, and I have the utmost respect for staff and the work they do, and the public, of course, the residents. And when these three things are working together, we build quality communities. And I think making a difference for roads, 208 and 80th and other road improvements, and I have to compliment, I know it's a mess right now, the government of British Columbia for building the highway number 1, which when it's finished, it'll be great. And it'll be long overdue with our overpasses as well. Making a difference for parks, accessible parks, BMX parks, regional parks, including two new regional parks coming to the Township of Langley, hundreds of acres. Making a difference for recreation, soccer, hockey, lacrosse, ball hockey, gymnastics, etc. Moving forward in the future. Making a difference for protection. Firefighters, we built a new fire hall, we've introduced more firefighters, and we're moving together for the future for firefighting. Police officers, we put a new gym in the new building there. They're happy for that. And also making a difference for the future, working with our school district, building new schools, 25 plus acres between a middle school and a high school. It's unheard of in the region. We are moving forward and building a livable community where we are a very good community, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud of the work this council has done this term. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Does anybody have a regional report to make? No, move on to items M1 through 7. Anybody have any questions on M1 through 7? Councilor Richter.
Yeah, I had a follow-up or a question on item M4 with regards to the unauthorized tree removal. And I'm just putting it out here for staff's consideration going forward. Perhaps we need to ensure going forward that there are provisions or opportunities for a preferred language service in order to get permits completed correctly. And also, I was just wondering if this report will be shared with the person who made the delegation to us last meeting.
To your worship, to Council Rector, the public agendas are live, but the report itself can be emailed to the resident or the owner of this property as well.
Okay, thank you very much. And I had one other one with regards to one of the Agricultural Land Commission decisions from April to June. This deals with pages 17 to 32 on a property or a company, Henry Drilling. And I'm just wondering if staff could clarify what their interpretation of township's role is going forward on this. Do we have to monitor that all these conditions are met, or is that the responsibility of the ALC to do?
Through your words for Councilor Richter, the ALC has indicated as part of their decision that there's a monitoring and reclaiming plan required. So these are ALC requirements, so they're the responsible body.
Okay, so ALC is responsible for it, okay. And my last question has to deal with number 7 on the Seniors Advisory Committee. I was quite impressed with the seniors survey that was attached to this item, pages 6 to 11. I'm just wondering, is TOL going to run this survey, and if yes, when, and what kind of sample size are we looking to achieve?
Through your worship to Councilor Richter, I don't believe there's specific direction at this time with respect to a township-wide survey.
Okay.
And I believe it's still a work in progress, so.
It's still a work in progress, so does that mean it's going to go back to the committee for some decisions and recommendations to council?
I believe they're still working at a committee level, and then we would look at this in the fall 2026.
Okay, because I think this is a very good idea to have a senior survey. Thank you.
Okay, seeing nothing else, move on. Councilor Rint, go ahead. Oh,
Yes, I want to move 01 as written. I think it speaks for itself.
all right, I'll second it. Councilor Pratt seconded that motion. Yeah. Any discussion on 01? Councilor Richter.
Well, I'd just like to make an observation, and I actually think that Township has been doing a lot of what this motion has in the whereases for, well, at least since the year 2000, with regards to boulevards, et cetera. So I'm not thinking this motion is particularly needed at this point in time. I think staff are already doing it. Thank you.
All right, seeing no discussion, call the question. Carries. Councilor Richter opposed. Councilor Rint, 02.
Moving 02 as written. It speaks for itself.
All right. Any discussion on 02? Councilor Richter?
Again, I'm going to make an observation more than anything else. I just find that this is going to be something the next council will have to deal with, and I'm concerned that it would contradict some of the things that this council's already done. For example, we banned dogs on playing fields because of the potential for contact with dog feces. Well, if we've got animal feces everywhere, does that create a risk and a liability too? So again, I believe this should be a decision of the next council, not this one, so I'm not supporting it. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Cooner, can you confirm maybe with staff what year was the policy of no dogs on sports fields brought in?
I believe it was last year, or was it this? I have to double check with
No,
staff.
I think it's maybe confer. It's been its longstanding policy for many, many years.
I believe we amended the bylaw, and I believe the discussion came up last year, but the bylaw itself, that specific clause was in there for several years. I believe staff are just
So
reviewing
again, I'm
it
just going to
now.
reiterate, everyone's going to be very careful of these statements that are made as if they're facts. They're not facts. Okay, so I'm going to call the question on 02. That carries. Councilor Richter opposed. Is there any other business? Just want to confirm again, is there any other business? Councillor Kunst.
Yeah, I noted in our items distributed, there's a few people who are talking about their annual flat utilities. And it seems like there's some confusion around where they're supposed to pay those. Do we have any? Because I know it's not just here in this items distributed. I've kind of seen a little online and I've actually had someone reach out to me as well. Is it just because we switched over that maybe their utility payment went to their property taxes when they made it online?
That could be the case, at which time, if they reach out to our staff, they do move them. They will go through them all and move them. They just probably haven't gotten to them yet.
Okay, and are we getting a lot of those kind of,
We always get those.
do we? Oh, okay. Just seems like we're getting a little bit more now, just because of the different accounts. So, okay, that's all. Thanks.
All right, so you know their business. Carry on. Does anybody have any items for closed? Councillor Richter?
Yes, I'd like to add a
Councillor Kunst?
Yeah, I have a legal item as well.
Councillor Bailey?
Yeah, labor relations.
All right, Ms. Bauer, that's those 3 items, plus I have 4 legal items to add as well. Let's get a motion to move, resolve into special closed as amended. Moved by Councillor Bailey, seconded by Councillor Pratt. All those in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. Get a motion to terminate? Moved by Councillor Pratt, seconded by Councillor Bailey. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. I just want to remind the audience, maybe you don't turn off the stream just yet. This is actually not the last council meeting. There's a council meeting for a public hearing, for the purposes of a public hearing at 7 p.m., and I'll make some statements then. Thank you.